Let's be real. Attraction can feel exciting, even intoxicating. When a woman shows interest in you, it triggers something powerful. You start imagining possibilities, building expectations, and sometimes ignoring red flags. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear not all interest is genuine. Sometimes what looks like attraction is nothing more than an illusion. And if you don't catch it early, you can end up investing your time, energy, and emotions into someone who was never truly invested in you. So, how do you spot the difference? It starts with understanding one key idea: real interest feels consistent, while fake interest feels confusing. When a woman is genuinely into you, her actions align naturally. She makes time for you, engages in conversation, and shows curiosity about your life. You don't have to overthink every message or analyze every interaction. There's a sense of ease, even if things are still new. But when interest is fake, things feel off. You might notice moments where she seems engaged, even excited, but then suddenly distant. One day she's replying quickly, the next day she disappears. One moment she's laughing at your jokes, the next she seems cold and uninterested. This inconsistency creates a cycle that keeps you hooked because you're always trying to win back her attention. And that's exactly the trap. Fake interest often thrives on giving just enough attention to keep you around, but never enough to build something real. It's not about connection, it's about control, validation, or sometimes just boredom. Another important thing to understand is this: people who fake interest rarely do it in obvious ways. It's subtle. It's hidden behind smiles, emojis, and occasional compliments. On the surface, everything looks fine. But underneath, there's a lack of real emotional investment. That's why so many guys miss the signs. They focus on what she says instead of what she does. They hold on to the few moments where she seemed interested, while ignoring the many moments where she showed she wasn't. In this video, we're going to break down 4 unmistakable signs she's faking interest in you, so you can stop guessing, stop overthinking, and start seeing the truth clearly. Because once you recognize these signs early, you gain something powerful: control over your time, your energy, and your emotions. And trust me, that changes everything. One of the clearest signs she's faking interest in you is this: her attention comes and goes based on her convenience, not her feelings. At first, you might not notice it. In fact, it can feel exciting. She texts you late at night, suddenly wants to talk for hours, or shows up with energy that makes you think, okay, she's definitely into me. But then something strange happens. The next day, silence, no replies, no effort, no explanation. And when she finally comes back, she acts like nothing happened. This creates a pattern, one that can seriously mess with your head. You start asking yourself questions like, did I do something wrong? Maybe she's just busy. Should I text her again? But here's the reality: when someone is genuinely interested in you, they don't only show up when it suits them. They don't disappear for long periods and then reappear expecting the same energy from you. Real interest doesn't switch on and off like a light. Fake interest does. A woman who is faking it often keeps you as an option, not a priority. She reaches out when she's bored, lonely, or needs attention. But when her life gets busy or something better comes along, you're the first thing she drops. And the most dangerous part? She gives you just enough attention to keep you emotionally invested. It's like feeding you crumbs and hoping you mistake it for a full meal. You might notice she's most responsive during certain times, like late at night, weekends when she has nothing going on, or moments when she needs emotional support. But when you need her, she's suddenly unavailable. This imbalance is not accidental. It's intentional behavior, even if she's not fully aware of it herself. Here's a simple way to test it. Pay attention to who is adjusting more, you or her. If you're constantly the one waiting, initiating, and adapting to her schedule while she puts in minimal effort, that's not attraction, that's convenience. And you deserve more than being someone's backup plan. The truth is, genuine interest doesn't feel like you're chasing it. It feels mutual. It feels balanced. So if her attention only shows up when it benefits her, take it for what it is: not interest, but temporary convenience. And once you see that clearly, you stop playing the game she's controlling. This is where things get really important because fake interest is rarely exposed by words. It's exposed by energy mismatch. A woman can say all the right things. She can call you interesting, nice, or even act like she enjoys talking to you. On the surface, everything sounds positive. But when you pay attention to her energy, something feels missing. That missing feeling is what most people ignore. When someone is genuinely interested, their energy naturally matches their words. There's warmth in their replies, curiosity in their questions, and engagement in the way they talk to you. You don't feel like you're pulling the conversation forward alone, but when interest is fake, there's a disconnect. She might reply, but it feels dry. She might respond, but she doesn't expand the conversation. She might even compliment you, but there's no emotional depth behind it. It's like she's participating, but not really present. And this is where many guys get trapped. They focus on what she said instead of how she made them feel. Let's be honest, energy never lies, even when words do. You can usually sense it in small things. Short, unenthusiastic replies like, haha, yeah, or cool. Delayed responses that feel more like obligation than excitement. No follow-up questions about your life or thoughts. A lack of emotional engagement, even during deep conversations. It's not that she's rude, it's that she's not invested. And here's the key difference. When a woman is genuinely interested, she doesn't just respond, she participates. She adds to the conversation. She builds on what you say. She shows emotional presence, not just polite replies. Fake interest, on the other hand, often feels like you're talking at her, not with her. Another subtle sign is inconsistency in tone. One moment she might seem slightly engaged, and the next she becomes emotionally flat. That shift creates confusion, and confusion is what keeps you hooked longer than clarity ever would. Because when you're confused, you try harder. You overanalyze. You chase meaning in small gestures that don't actually mean anything. And that's exactly where emotional imbalance begins. So here's a simple truth to keep in mind. Words can be performed, but energy is harder to fake for long periods. If her words say, I'm interested, but her energy says, I'm just being polite, believe the energy. Because real connection doesn't need decoding. It feels natural, steady, and mutual, not like you're constantly trying to figure out where you stand. This is one of the most dangerous signs of fake interest, and also the most confusing, because on the surface, it looks like she does like you. She talks to you, she responds, she may even flirt a little. But there's one major problem. Nothing ever progresses. No real emotional depth, no clear direction. No movement towards something meaningful. You stay stuck in the same place for weeks, sometimes months, wondering, where is this going? And every time you start to question it, she does just enough to pull you back in. Maybe she sends a sweet message out of nowhere. Maybe she opens up a little emotionally. Maybe she flirts again after a period of distance. And just like that, your hope resets. This is what emotional inconsistency does. It creates attachment without commitment. A woman faking interest often understands, consciously or unconsciously, that keeping things uncertain gives her control. As long as you're unsure, you stay invested. You keep trying. You keep hoping things will improve. But notice what's missing: action, because genuine interest always moves forward, even slowly, but it moves. There's progression, plans to meet, deeper conversations, emotional vulnerability, or consistent effort to build something real. Fake interest avoids all of that. She might enjoy your attention, your validation, or the emotional support you give, but she avoids defining anything, avoids clarity, and avoids taking things to the next level. And here's the trap. The longer there is no progress, the more you start filling in the gaps yourself. You start telling yourself, she's just shy, she needs time, she's not ready yet. But deep down, the pattern stays the same. Words without direction, attention without intention. Another key sign is when she keeps you in a safe zone. You feel close enough to think something might happen, but never close enough for anything real to begin. It's emotional proximity without emotional commitment. And this is where many people lose themselves. Because instead of seeing the situation clearly, they get attached to potential, not reality. But here's the truth. If someone is truly interested, you don't have to constantly ask where you stand. It becomes obvious through their actions. So if you notice you've been in the same emotional place for a long time, with no progress, no clarity, and no direction, that's not slow development, that's stagnation. And stagnation is one of the strongest signs that her interest is not real. It's just enough to keep you from leaving. This final sign is the one that brings everything together, and it's often the hardest to accept, because sometimes a woman doesn't fake everything. She doesn't ignore you completely. She doesn't treat you badly. In fact, she may even seem like she enjoys you a lot. But there's a key difference you need to understand. She enjoys the attention you give her, not you as a person. At first, this can feel flattering. She laughs at your jokes, reacts to your messages, maybe even compliments you. It feels like connection, but if you look deeper, something is missing. She doesn't really ask about your deeper life. She doesn't show curiosity about your goals or struggles. She doesn't invest emotionally in understanding who you are. Instead, she mainly engages when she's receiving attention, compliments, validation, emotional support, or entertainment. This is where the imbalance becomes clear, because real interest is not one-sided consumption. It's mutual curiosity. It's wanting to know someone, not just enjoy how they make you feel in the moment. A woman who is genuinely interested in you will want more than just attention. She will want connection. She will ask questions, remember details, and try to understand your world. But when interest is fake, the focus is different. You become a source of validation, not a person she is emotionally invested in. And you'll notice a pattern. She responds quickly when you give attention, she becomes warm when you compliment her, she engages more when you entertain her mood, but she goes distant when you stop feeding that attention loop. This is the clearest sign that the connection is not built on genuine attraction, it's built on emotional consumption. Another subtle indicator is how she reacts when you shift your energy. When you stop chasing, stop over-texting, or stop giving constant validation, her interest either disappears or becomes inconsistent. That's because the supply she was receiving is gone. And here's the hard truth. Someone who values your presence will not need constant performance from you. You won't feel like you're always trying to earn their attention. You won't feel like your worth depends on how well you entertain them. Instead, there will be balance. Effort will be mutual. Energy will flow both ways. So if you realize that her engagement drops the moment you stop feeding attention, take that as clarity, not confusion. Because real interest doesn't depend on constant stimulation. It depends on connection. And once you see the difference between someone who values you versus someone who values your attention, you stop chasing the wrong people and start protecting your energy for the right ones.